In this episode of Once Upon a Change, we'll talk with Sara Gonçalves, the founder and CEO of Actif. Hello, Sara. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Patricia. Thank you for inviting me.
So, first of all, I wanted to know a little bit more about you and what's your background and what inspired you into creating Actif.
Yes, so thank you first of all for having me here. I'm Sara. I'm from Porto. I have a background in agronomical engineering, and now I'm working in the health sector, so it's not really related. And I did a specialization course also in bioinformatics. During my bachelor, I started coding and being interested a lot in technology. And eventually I helped co-founding Trigger Systems, where I stayed as a CEO for 4 years. This was also an impact startup that was helping saving irrigation water, and so helping farmers and also gardens managers to help reducing the water bills and also saving water for the planet. I've been connected to entrepreneurship in this last 4 years. But since my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia during the time I was in Trigger Systems, I looked a lot at this aging field, and I saw that was not enough technology, there was not enough tools for these professionals. And one of the main challenges for me personally was that my grandmother stayed at home watching TV for 10 hours per day without any type of activity. And this was actually increasing the problem of the dementia. And so without any type of physical exercise, of cognitive exercise, the disease was actually accelerated, and this in the end was what motivated me to pursue this different area from my background and my expertise, and to help these professionals to bring more activities. And the problem was that as family members, we didn't have access to this type of activities, but when she went to a care home, the professionals did not have also availability to create those, no? And so this what was inspired Actif, and now what our goal in the end is to help this the population to age with more quality by accessing adapted and accessible physical and cognitive activities that are personalized for them.
Can you explain a little bit more about how Actif works?
We mostly work with nursing homes, care homes, daycare centers, and hospitals. And our main users are therapists, so physiotherapists or occupational therapists, or even what we call activity coordinators, which are the people that are inside the care homes, are there creating activities for the older adults. And nowadays we developed this platform that is now registered as a medical device as well, that has more than 6,000 activities available for them to use. All of these activities are generated by AI. We have a high scalability as well for creating more content every week and to new categories as well. We have things like the yoga, tai chi, fitness, dance, and all the cognitive domains that are important to maintain people healthier. And besides this library of content, we collect and assess the needs for the older adults, and we can propose and recommend an activity plan that makes sense for that specific care home, for those specific older adults, and then they can implement our activities in an easier way and in a way that is personalized for their needs.
That's great. How do you feel that Actif has changed or has impacted the people you're trying to help? What's the feedback you're getting from your clients and from the end users?
Until now, we've impacted more than 1,000 people so far with our implementation. We are in several care homes already in Portugal. We are starting to give our first steps in the UK as well, with some trials for the end of this year. And we have been doing a lot of impact studies actually to improve our solution. One of them that we just released in a case study is that we were able to increase the number of activities for the older adults after 1 month of implementation. We were able to increase 26% of the physical activities compared to the previous month, 950% the cognitive activities, and 66% of all the other adults did more activities with our tool inside the care home that without it. And also some outcomes from these case studies that we were able to increase the socialization between the carers and the older adults, because they all joined the same living room to participate in the activities. And some people that had dementia that didn't participate in any activity actually loved our own, and 90% of our activities they did compared to nothing before. And in the end, that's what we want as well.
How do other stakeholders like investors or potential clients look at your startup?
I think overall, the healthcare industry, from the investors' perspective, there are investors that are really focused on healthcare and then understand that maybe there are a bit longer sales cycles, there are a lot of regulations sometimes, and so they are already aware. What we tend to see is that some more generalist investors tend to be a bit afraid of the healthcare industry and how it moves. But I think overall there are specialist investors, and that's where we focus in, and the ones that also can bring more added value to the investment rather than the money. And there are a lot of them. So I don't see a big differences. It's just for entrepreneurs that are starting maybe fundraising in this area of the healthcare. I think it would be important just to focus and segment what are the investors that make sense. And in Portugal, there are a lot focusing on healthcare. When it comes to the clients, what we see is that healthcare, compared to other industries, I think is still lacking a lot of technology, although there has been a push. And of course, COVID was a huge promoter, no? And we started, our company was started in pure COVID. And so I think if it wasn't for COVID, we would never started this idea of doing a session remotely or creating this interface, because I think there was no care homes with infrastructure to do it. And so I think this is increasing the digitalization of healthcare, and we are seeing that. Although if we go to really small care homes, maybe they still are not very used to these digital tools, and I think this is something that is becoming. But definitely the value that the technology can add nowadays, everyone can recognizes that, and I think the movement is starting, and the clients start to be more aware to this as well.
And at what stage are you at? What are the next challenges for Actif?
Now is growing sales in Portugal, growing our customers database in Portugal. We are doing some validation already in the UK, and we want to next year to focus on expanding that market. We do have the potential to become market leaders in Portugal, but for us that's not our only goal, and we see that we can also have a different a big differentiation in the UK, and also implement our solution in the UK as a bigger market, and in some ways a bit more mature as well. And so that's our next focus, is to grow here in Portugal and to expand to the UK. Yeah.
I would like to ask you if you could give some kind of advice for impact entrepreneurs in the future that are thinking about starting a startup. What would be the advice you'd give to them?
Okay, for impact entrepreneurs, I think it's important to understand what is the focus and what you actually want with the company. And sometimes this can be hard for some people to understand, but there are people that are just impact oriented, and there are people that are more capital oriented. I do believe that I'm both, and I'm mixed, because every time that we do a sale, we know that we are doing impact. And so I think for an impact entrepreneur, the most important thing is understand what you want with your own company, with your project. I think you need to be the one believing in your own ideas and what you think of, because there are many questioning, many investors don't believe in you when you are pre-seed and when you're starting, or the clients are not always opening the door, or you need to twist a bit what you're communicating, or iterate maybe a bit your product, but believe in the problem that you are solving and don't give up that this is possible. I think this is the most important thing.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Thank you so much for inviting me.